hold on right there. Let me show you how to play Thor in the new hero shooter, Marvel Rivals. Okay, this is Thor. Thor's main mechanic is Thor Force. Thor Force is those hammers that you see there. So any of the main abilities consume one Thor Force, right? That's Hammer Throw, the Rush ability, so on and so forth. They consume Thor Force. And if you can see here on the bottom right hand corner, each of the different abilities shows how many of the Thor Force it uses. Maintaining and executing Thor Force abilities, that's Thor's main mechanic. Thor's main attack, Mjolnir Bash, is a frontal melee with a tad bit of range. So Mjolnir Bash, you don't have to be right on top of them to do it. You can be a few feet away. You could say about 3 to 4 meters away from the actual enemy in order to hit them with Mjolnir Bash. There's also Storm Charge, which chucks Thor forward. The longer you hold Storm Surge, the farther you go. But that doesn't mean that you can't pop it once and then hold it for the longer range. Our next ability is Lightning Realm. You summon a lightning to restore Thor Force. So those 3 hammers that we saw, right? Depending on the number of hit enemies. So let's show you here. We use Thor Force twice. We pop, and look, we have our Thor Force completely back. Think of Lightning Realm as a way to gain damage over time in an area, plus be able to gain your Thor Force right on back. Our next ability, Awakening Rune, is a fantastic maneuverability and damage boosting attack. So it puts Thor into this awakened state that he's able to kind of free-flowing move in a rapid way, but it consumes all 3 hammers of your Thor Force. We can move almost like a hover. And one thing to note is the Awakening Rune on impact does 70 damage per hit. Our last regular ability is Hammer Throw. Hammer Throw consumes 1 charge of Thor Force, and it goes a pretty far way too. So we can go back all the way 30 meters, pop over this guy, and as you can see, it doesn't fully hit. About 25 meters. 20 meters is the sweet spot. Good thing to note is that we get 70 on impact.
I am Odinson.
And then 30 when it comes back. You don't even have to be close proximity of them. You could chuck it in an angle here like this, and it'll pop right there. Our last and final ability, Thunder God. His ult move. On a controller, both thumbsticks push down. It does tick damage, and then also does a smash when it comes down. Now, how I like to play Thor is kind of like rushdown character. I like to chuck the Hammer Throw, charge, Thor Force on top of them, then go right into the Awaken Rune. If someone's running away from me or so on and so forth, then I like to pop the Hammer Throw, and that just gives me the added health. So part of the Thor Force mechanic is that any of your moves, when it hits, grants you extra health. Regular Hammer Slash or Hammer Bash gets you Thor Force energy. So let's use a hammer, right? So hammer. So in my opinion, Thor is a great crowd control DPS tank where he's constantly moving, pushing enemies away. This is a great way to push enemies off points, disrupt enemies' formation, so on and so forth. And then his ult is a great way to get ticks in a wide area and then to slam down and get that KO. Now, let's go into a match and show you a little more of how I utilize Thor. So one of the things to note about Thor is that one of his fallbacks is that he doesn't really have a really good way of shielding himself. Thor Force does give him added additional health, and it does help his survivability, but he does struggle with trying to heal himself over time. that's really how you play Thor, where you rush down on characters. You have a slight to mid range with the hammer throw. One of the things that he does suffer from is the non ability to shield himself and the heal, where the Thor Force kind of compensates for that. It's not a full heal. So one of the things to be mindful is of your cooldowns, that you do get that extra burst healing when you use any of those moves, and just being mindful of your own health, being mindful of your team. He's great at creating openings in space, and he should be constantly moving. So that's how you play Marvel Rivals Thor.